Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all joining in and ask me questions and call in on the show. It's 888-994-4995. And you can also follow me on Spotify. I have my recordings on YouTube, on Facebook, and Spotify right now. So please follow me and tell your friends too to also listen in. Thank you. And I'm going to open up questions from the studio. Anybody here that wants to ask me a question? I am not good at doing this because I'm tuning in and I'm in a trance. So, okay, thank you. Please call in. And anyone in the studio, please ask me any questions. I'm ready. Freddie.
Ready for round two?
I'm ready, Freddie.
You ready, Freddie, for round two?
If you listen to the, okay, I'm just, anybody that was listening to the morning show, I am here and it's very well worth tuning in because we kind of had a contest and I'm beating Freddie.
We haven't a contest.
So I think we're doing
Well, it
spirit
was.
versus human.
Yes, that's what a continuation from the
And I
morning
want to
show.
ask, which is more dangerous? But the question Freddie posed was, which is more dangerous?
Yes.
Maybe which is more influential? Powerful?
I would say spirits, only because they have a slight kind of, they have more knowing than what we know here. So I would say spirits are more powerful. We do not change that much when we're in spirit. We basically have our own same personality, as far as I know. And I always make a disclaimer here because I believe it's important. I can't prove anything. It's only by example. I can tell you these things, and a lot of my messages do come about. So to me, it's very real.
But is it humans leading the way or is it spirit leading humans?
I think it's spirit leading humans, Freddie, because after all, they do see more than us. We are limited here on Earth. Obviously, people that can follow this, that tune in, and we call ourselves psychics or whatever you want to name it, we can see a little bit more. I do believe we all have the ability to do this, but when we're in spirit, I think we have more of that ability.
So does it explain, like, I've seen documentaries, I've seen movies of people, a woman weighs 98 pounds, somebody like Dawn, and she has to turn a car over to save a sibling. And she doesn't have any strength to be able to do that. And all of a sudden, she's able to turn a car over. Is that human or spirit work?
Spirit. I actually know of a few things, including my stepmother, who is now passed. There was an occasion that when someone actually many, many years ago, I was living in London and we had someone that was a home help that was like kind of like someone that was helping us here, helping her. The lady apparently had just come out of a mental institution, and this is nothing, I'm not criticizing this in any way. If you need treatment, you need treatment. But she had a setback, let's say, and she tried to strangle my stepmother. But she had unknown strength, and we had someone in the building that was downstairs that was like the doorman who came up, and he could not pull this lady away. And she was like 5'2", but her strength was unbelievable. So I believe we have, basically, she was all right, my stepmother, and she was fine, so everything was okay. But the strength that this lady had that was helping her in the house there, she suddenly, I'm going to say, cracked and had this experience. But the man who was like 6 foot, who came up from the apartment to come up and help her, could not pull her off my stepmother. And he was like 6'2". So it's an unknown strength sometimes that we get. Can I explain that? I don't really know. But anyway, my stepmother survived and the lady was okay. They took her back into hospital and she was all right.
So then the object of the game here is to find out just how deep spirit, how strong spirit is, how much you can do and cannot do. So let's say they were asking me a question in there. We were on a plane and the pilots faint, die, whatever, and you have to fly the plane. And I've never flown a plane, so the spirit take over, and all of a sudden I focus on what's going on, and I land this plane or not.
Yes, and again, it goes back to what I truly believe is what we are guided. And if we need help, they'll come in right away. We've heard of many, many stories. Let's take the example, since you mentioned a plane, of, I don't remember the guy's name that landed the plane safely. They made a movie about him. If you can help me. Yes, exactly.
Well, he landed a plane on the Hudson, which is almost unheard of.
Exactly. So how do we explain that? He was taken, I believe he was very guided into that situation, because it's not something that we would consider normal for someone to be able to do that with all the things that was happening, but he was able to do that. So he was guided into that, yes.
Now, it's funny, Sally, because I've seen people, I think you've done the show for a year, no?
Yes, I have. Just
And
over.
I've seen people come in here and they all ask a question. When am I going to find my true love? When am I going to do this? Should I do that? And the more I think about the questions they're asking you, is they're asking, is my spirit strong enough, intelligent enough, aware enough to take me to that level that I want?
Yes,
Like
it
meeting
is.
somebody.
It is. We've got to, the key to this, as far as I know, is you have to believe that. Believe that you are being helped. Talk to that person, even if it, what I call sometimes our higher self that's in communication with people that we don't see, let's say from another realm after we pass. We are guided. We are definitely guided. We have many guides. So if you truly, truly want to believe that, which I do, ask and you will receive the answers.
But it's interesting because the more, I guess the older I am, the more I'm beginning to see things in a different light. The more I'm beginning to understand why things happen, not that they happen. Not that they're not explainable, but because I was looking under the wrong tree before. And now that I understand things a little bit better now, I'm able to even question my thinking of how I used to see things. So
That was a good example, Freddie, yes, because we change. We're changing all the time. I can say 10 years ago, I'm not where I am today because I'm making a point of trying to the best of my ability to understand this. I truly believe that we are guided. We are guided. There are certain situations that we have to go through because we have a choice. We have free will. But if you ask, and I wrote prose about this, ask and you will receive. You will receive the answers. The key is to listen, which I also wrote in my first book. Listen to your answers. They're here to guide you.
well, it's interesting because now the questions that I have are no longer questions. If not, I'm looking for guidance to asking the right questions. So I have this strange thing that I do that everything could be smooth and I want to try something different. And don't even ask me today on the air, how do the people keep up to your mind? Like, I was shown a picture, and it happens to be something that her daughter did, and it's in a place, a secret place, and we have a scavenger hunt for people to look for it. My question is really simple. Why is it that I'm sent these things and I say them because I have to say them? Where do they come from? Do I create them out of thin air?
Actually, I love that question, and there are a couple of answers to that question. One, we have what we call a higher self that is in contact with other people from another dimension, let's say. It's actually when we pass, we go to another dimension. So they are here to guide us. So if we listen to the answers there, they're usually correct. I can't tell you all the time because we make mistakes. We are human. We have free will. But if we listen to our intuition, we will find that there are answers definitely there. So as we go and we more mature and we begin to understand that, we're more conscious of that. We are given the answers, only we have free will, and sometimes we're very stubborn and we don't listen. We're given something that may happen, like a premonition. I've done it myself many years ago, but I'm more in tune now, so I do listen. They're telling me to go another way. I use this as an example. Maybe we're driving and we should turn right instead of left. Follow your gut, your intuition. It's usually correct.
So then this leads me to my question of the day. I brought to you months ago about attempting to try different things, to changing it up a little bit more. So we got into these concerts. And we have a number of them, starting on the 12th of October. Never did this before. So here is that wrinkle of doing something out of the box. And there's fear. There's fear among people around me. There's fear about, do we do this? Was it the right thing to do? Did we start too early? People aren't responding the way we thought they were going to. Or are they? So the question is, do you look at fear and say, you got to do it anyway? Do you keep trying? Because the more you keep trying, the better you get at it. Or do you say, no, let me stop, let me pull out, let me take it away? So what do you see on the upcoming concerts?
I see that you're on the right track, Freddie. I've told you that before. If you follow your gut instinct and I'm hearing expand your horizon, okay? You're not going to make mistakes. Be very aware that you're doing something different, but it's okay. That's what you need to do to expand your horizons. It's very important. You guys here in the studio, both Dawn and yourself, are very talented, and you need to go out more and do these things. You're on the right track. It can be nothing but successful for you if you do these things. Do not listen to the other side, let's say, that's saying, oh, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. Go with it. Go with it. Any opportunity that you get, please, if you feel good about it, it's what you're meant to be doing. You are going to create many good opportunities. I've said this to you both. I feel that with all that I know. I mean, I can only go with my gut, but you are definitely on the right track. Expand your horizons. And they're telling me this. They're putting it, as I see it, in big letters. Expand your horizons. You will not go wrong. Does that help you guys? That's for Dawn too. It's for the both of you.
Fear has a very funny formula to it. So even though you feel that you're giving it your best shot, you're doing the best you can, you have all the kids enthused about doing what we do. The creatives are creating. They're all pushing forward to do this thing. But there's always the chance that this one doesn't work out. There's always the chance that it doesn't work out. But that doesn't mean that it's a failure. Maybe the formula wasn't correct.
I couldn't have explained it better. That's perfect, Freddie. Okay, but if you don't try, you don't know, okay? So yes, sometimes when you try, it may not succeed at that particular time, but that doesn't mean that maybe a month or two later, you do the same thing. It's all about timing. There is no time on the other side, but you're given opportunities. It's up to you to understand that. You are the director of your own life, so to speak. So if you feel that you're doing something correct and it doesn't always happen at that moment, continue. Do not give up. You are definitely on the right track. So even if you feel that maybe this wasn't for you, again, I'm going to say timing, although there is no timing. You may need to do it next week or the following week. Do not give up. You're on the right track. I feel that they're telling me your horizons ahead of you are great, but you have to believe that. It's very important. I know you do, but even though you do, still continue that you know that you're doing the right thing. Obstacles happen. Things are put in your way, but they're put in your way for a certain reason. So maybe that you're on the right track and something might persuade you to go a different direction. Think about that, look into it, but continue. Don't let that stop you from doing it. If one person that comes in, this is coming very clear to me, says to you, no, do not do what you're doing. That's one person. That one person is one person. Put that aside. There are so many other people that are helping you. If you feel it in your gut, as I do too, you're on the right track. Don't let one or two people dissuade, tell you that it's wrong. It's up to you to feel that what you're feeling is really important. If you feel that you're doing the right thing, it's what you want to do, please continue. Don't let, it's like the other side is saying no, but your side is saying yes. Listen to you. Does that make sense to you?
It does, because you're a perfect example. You started this show simply based on what you understood and what you wanted to do. And sometimes you don't even remember some of the things that you tell us.
I do not remember, and I don't remember exactly what I'm saying now because I'm in a trance. But what I do remember when this happened, when I sat in the other studio with you and I was about to have and I love my friend and I still speak to her, but she wasn't maybe equipped to do the show with me. It doesn't mean that she didn't have the spirituality, but I'm a different person. Although I was going to go on this show with someone else and call, and I think you may have had some doubts about that, but you were correct. I needed to do this show on my own without my friend continuing. Doesn't mean that she's less spiritual than me, but my path was different to her path, and that's a very good example. And I think, as you know, Freddie, as you listened to me, you realized that what I was doing was correct for both of us, for Dawn too, in the studio here. It wasn't necessarily correct for my friend to continue. Does that make her any less than me? No, absolutely not. But her path was different, and I'm very glad you brought that up.
You know, it's interesting because the Bible talks about the storyteller. It talks about those that have something to teach us simply by expressing stories and saying things that have happened, have occurred, things that they've dreamt about, so forth and so on. And this venue with you has been really interesting because at the end of the day, what you do here is you do give us stories, you give us examples, you give us things to work by, to live by. Never criticizing, always telling you to stray and go and keep going. Were you always this way, Sally?
No, I was not. When I first came here, I had many obstacles. Maybe I was, but I didn't know that because I never voiced it. I doubted myself very much. But as I'm going to say matured, and it could have been in my 30s or 40s because I wasn't this way as a child, I realized that something was telling me to continue with what I was beginning to experience. It's only since I've been here now just over a year have I really realized what has happened to me. I know this sounds ridiculous, but many things have happened to me in my past. And since I'm now doing a new book, unfortunately, Lynn, as you know, if my viewers have been listening, passed away. But I learned a great deal from that year of working with Lynn about all the things that have actually happened to me. And I often hear in my head, Sally, continue by example. People, just like myself, would question it. But by example, I'm seeing there are many people that don't want to listen to me, and I accept that and I understand that because I was that way in the very beginning. But I have a message, and I'm feeling very much going certainly into my background of how I've always been led into giving my message. And this has given me a way to actually present who I am. And it's making me, it's not just for my viewers, it's confirming to me of what I know. Am I better than anyone else? Absolutely no. And my viewers and my friends know I do not have that ego. But I am here by example to tell people what has happened to me, which is very important.
Supporting cast is always, they say, important, but not fully determined as to what you want to accomplish. Do you feel you have a supporting cast? Honestly, or do you feel that it doesn't really matter whether or not you have a supporting cast if you believe strong-heartedly enough in what you're doing?
Actually, that's a two-sided question. I can relate to both of those sides because I try to tell people I am, as best as I can, devoid of ego of what I learned. But I've had so many, what people would say, mysterious things happen to me that it's brought me to the point that maybe I have achieved a little bit more than some people here, but that's not ego. It's where our journey goes. We can all achieve this, but it's beginning to ring true to me. So I'm saying you don't have to believe everything I'm saying, and that's fine. but just listen to some of the things that I've had happen to me to help people continue on this path. Not everyone's going to, and I completely understand that. But it's very important for me to get this message out. I'm getting older. You know, my birthday's coming up. I don't usually give my age, but I'm getting old. And I feel that the last part of my life, I need to show or leave something here to show people that anything is possible if you believe this.
It's funny because you're not getting older, you're getting wiser. And sometimes the gift of what you do isn't about the words that you use to express it, but you give people the ability that they can see their own gift. Isn't that the biggest thing that we're all here to learn?
And that touches my heart, Freddie, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, I know that many people, including in my own family, that don't want to necessarily hear what I have to say, but it's not going to stop me. I have to tell people, if you want to, if you're ready. And I feel very much that the people that are ready will tune in and listen to this. There are many people out there. I need to have a lot of exposure, which you guys are giving me right now, and there are many avenues that I continue. I will continue to do this as long as I live, as far as I know, because I need to spread this word out, that there is so much more than what we see here right now. And I am a true example of explaining that, hopefully, and it's without ego, because I believe we can all do this.
When you meet different people in your field, which probably happens a lot because everybody comes up, I've seen people walk in here, all types of people have come in here, they've done sessions and everything else. Every time you meet another new person, another new soul, another new spirit, does it give you the encouragement that you are doing exactly what your calling set you out to do?
Absolutely, 100%. And you know, in the beginning, when I first started here, maybe just over a year ago, and I'm meeting all these people that I could relate to and they could relate to me, I'm going, even I said, is this coincidence? No, it's not. We attract who we are. But I started to attract a lot of people that have the same belief system. It happened here, and I brought this up many times in the Brooklyn Cafe, that they come here because I used to read sometimes the law of attraction. We attract who we are. We bring that in. This is not coincidence. This is real. This is very real. If I can tell anybody that may not believe it, believe what you think, you will attract. If you think negativity, you will get negativity. If you think positive, you will experience positivity. For some reason, they take my... Let me have a little sip of this.
Want to take a commercial break?
Maybe for a second, yeah, for a minute.
All right,
Thank
so let's
you.
take a commercial break.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, but thank you.
Keep going and take the break.
No, we can keep
This
going.
world-
Keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. This is,
That
okay.
was a flub.
Yeah,
You sure?
I'm fine. And I have all the right people in the studio right now to ask me the questions, including you, George.
Yeah, I think I have something. I talked to Sarah last night, who is another psychic medium we have in house, and she says I need to clear my head. Anything on that?
Yes,
'Cause
I do agree with this. Stop all these little, I don't want to call them demons, but there are thoughts that are coming into your head, Josh. Please just say to yourself, and I'm getting goosebumps, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. Follow your gut, follow your positivity, because you are a positive person. Only you're being taken away from that sometimes, okay? Just say, go away, leave me alone. I'm not interested in what you're saying. If bad thoughts come into your head, dismiss it. Tell them, leave me alone, okay? And continue on your path. You are on the right track.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always negative thoughts. How do I turn it from negative to positive?
No, you have the ability to do that. It's entirely up to you. You need to do that. That's what I'm saying. When you get a negative thought, just say to yourself, go away, leave me alone, because you may think you're just talking to yourself, but you're not. You're talking to other people too that are guiding you. Sometimes we get playful spirits that want to confuse you, but you know better. You know better, okay? That's coming very, very strongly for me, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Sally.
But Sally, something like in Josh's question, it helps him become a better person, a better man, a better friend. I mean, so many different aspects simply by him taking awareness that if he does have a question, he should ask it. And asking people like you or Sarah or somebody else who has the foresight to give him a confidence booster or a reality check. So, not every question that I'm sure that you get is always positive. Sometimes adjustments need to be made, correct?
Absolutely correct, yes. But I don't always, and a disclaimer here, I don't always follow what I tell people. I'll get negativity and I'll continue sometimes with that negativity. But the good news is that I know what I'm doing at that point, and I know I need to turn it around, because I know let's say there's two sides to this. There is the positive and there is the negative. We all know that. The key is balance. Sometimes we need negativity. This may sound stupid, but this is what I believe, to show us the path, and that we can turn that around. Because without that, if everything was all good, what are we going to learn? So sometimes we need to have a little bit, but don't get too caught up in it.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because sometimes the answers, I believe, there's always an answer to the puzzle. The question here is finding that answer and what it takes to do that, what it takes to resolve an issue. Issues come up because there's a breakdown somewhere along the line of what we want to accomplish. So how do you deal, especially our younger generation, how do they deal with so much negativity being thrown at them? Not the amount of negativity, but the different negativities coming at them from different directions at one time.
That's very difficult. It's a good question, but it's a very difficult question to answer, Freddie. Again, they have to be aware that there's more. You can look at a negative situation, but from what I want to tell people and for them to learn, there is an answer. So out of that negativity can come good. So if you can turn that around, it's not easy, and I know that because I've had many negative situations, but if you're aware, and that's what I try to say by example, if I can carry that on to tell people, be aware of that and try to turn it into a positive. Not everybody's ready. We have to go through a certain amount. But for the kids today, they have a lot of negativity in their life. So I'm not the only person trying to tell people this. So if they can listen to positive shows, anything that shows you positivity, if they can catch a little bit of that, let's try and turn this around.
But how do you keep them on the right path of belief when the storm, the oceans are brewing with giant waves? How do you keep them on the right path? How do you have them continue to push through?
It's difficult. It's very difficult, especially the kids today are being thrown so much negativity. But not just me, but there's many people out there. Tell them to listen to positive feedback, to positive shows, anything that can give them an answer to something that they may go through that is very negative. Let's try and turn that around. It doesn't always happen, and I'm the first person to tell you that. But keep going, put a smile on your face. And one of my sayings is, let's fake it till we make it. So even if you're going through a lot, how much does it take to put a smile on your face? Because that's contagious sometimes. If you're going through a very difficult situation and you know it is, don't continue with, oh, poor me. Let's try and turn that around and say, oh, okay, maybe I'm learning a lesson. Put that smile on your face. It will help a little bit, not always completely, but it will help.
So it's not about being a cheerleader either. It's about showing you that you have the ability to resolve an issue. You have the ability of finding resolution that sometimes you don't see it simply because you're so swamped in all the negativity and all the naysayers and all the, no, you can't. It's amazing sometimes how the human spirit will enhance itself more towards the negative than to the positive. Why is that?
It does, because basically we are here to learn lessons. So if everything was all positive, what are we going to learn? So we know that there's an inner self of us that we're not maybe aware of, that we are here to learn lessons. So we've got to have some negativity. It's important to have that negativity so we learn our lesson from that. Sometimes that negativity continues longer than it should do. And I'm a very good example for the first part of my life where that happened. And I kept saying, why does this keep happening to me? Which I'm sure many people can relate to. But let's say, okay, I've had enough. I'm going to stop this and let's start thinking positive. There's nothing, it doesn't matter. Just think that way and see what happens. We're here to learn lessons.
It's amazing because Dawn and I went to a meeting recently, and in there they had a different structure of how I would run the youth. People looking for jobs, graduating out of college. People looking to get a job maybe during college, being hired for employment. And wondering, when I walked into the meeting, I wondered why kids weren't hanging out in these jobs, why they were quitting, why they were leaving. When I left this meeting, I completely understand the why they're leaving. You know, corporate America is so stringent as to what they want to do. They don't give our youth creativity balance. They don't give them an expansion for them to be themselves. And unlike when I was going through school and I graduated, I was more of a ticket taker, an order taker. But these kids nowadays, they're so talented that they want more out of life. They want not to take orders. They want to be able to give orders, or at least to share in the decision making. And that corporate America right now is not there.
No, it's not, and you're absolutely right, because they're suppressed in what they need to do. We need to, especially kids today that are growing up, be themselves, be true to yourself. Even if you feel that you're being suppressed in a certain way, and it's hard to show people this, but as a child, if you're a parent, show them that they are more than what they think they are. Do not let these things, you know, it does change their personality a little bit. These kids coming in today are very aware, from what I know, of what's going on, but they're so suppressed by many people, by the schools sometimes. They're not allowed to speak who they are. But if you look into, and I brought this up too, the talent shows, which I was watching last night, America's Got Talent, there were two kids, one 7 and one 12, that were amazing. They are able to express who they are. Don't, as parents, please suppress that. Let them be who they are.
But how do we get corporate America to catch up to the new way, the new order of things, the new world order, for lack of a better expression? Because they're not taking into consideration that these kids just went through COVID. They went through the changing of history. They're going through the changes in our temperature. They're going through wars. They're going through famine. They're going through fires. They're going through a whole lot of hate.
Yes.
How do we get corporate America to understand that in order for this thing to work, you need to have a balance? Not saying that they're doing it the wrong way or that the kids are thinking the wrong way, but how do you get a balance for it to work for everybody?
That's a great question, Freddie. And I think the key to this is to let people know there is a balance. They are being indoctrinated into a different way of thinking, that where they come in, they want to think it's free thinking. Let's call it free thinking. Let these kids that are growing up, that are going into corporate America, have their thoughts listened to. Listen to them. Maybe someone higher up is going to say, no, that's not right. But if we can tell these kids continue with what they're feeling, absolutely, it's really important to listen to these kids. They're coming in, as far as I know, a lot of these kids today are coming in to change this world. We need change. Whether it's going to happen, I can't tell you. But what we need more than anything else, and I'm hearing that, is balance. So listen to them. We're not going to change corporate America unless corporate America, any corporate, not just America, understands this. We need to educate. They're not always willing to listen because they've been doing this for centuries. It's control. It's all about control. Let's take a little bit of that control away and let people think freely. Does that make sense? Can you understand that?
That makes sense.
Good. Yes. I mean,
Commercial, Freddie?
Okay, let's do a commercial.
it's like they're stopping me.
You wanna call it?
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue to do Spirit versus Humans, because I got a good one coming.
This is really important. This is very important. Yeah. It's like they tried to stop me from talking about it. Am I still on the air? This life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask. Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask. Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
The Tribute Band. Join us for a fun-filled night at Savor Cinema Fort Lauderdale at 6 p.m. on October 12th.
Just trying to keep a hold on me. Here in your eyes I found my paradise, my only chance for happiness. And if I lose your love, I think I would die. Oh, say you'll always be my baby, we can make it so.
However, the fun doesn't end there. Later that night, we'll be joined by Tony Wilson, the young James Brown. On October 12th at 8 p.m. later that night in the same place, join us for another fantastic event with Tony Wilson, the young James Brown. Get your tickets now at events.amp2.tv. 50 for 50s.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, we're back. I'm opening my questions up to the studio, or anybody that wants to call in.
Sally, we were then talking about spirit versus humans, and I had a question that came to mind that I wanted to ask you. Being that I think we both agreed that spirit has a lot to do in dictating how human beings behave, where does all the hate come from?
That's part of the journey, Freddie. We're here to learn, but if everything, as I had said this once before, and I'm really beginning to understand that, if everything was just perfect, we had a perfect world, we would not learn. Unfortunately, we have a lot of hate here. There's a balance. Some of the hate goes overboard and we hear some horrible atrocities, and we can't always be everything is great, positive. We need that balance. So the hate goes with the other side of this. We have to continue our path because we are here to learn. We come back, as far as I know, many, many times to learn our lessons. So without doing, let's say, something that is not right, we need to come back and we need to experience as karma. And it's not always karma that we have to do that, but our choice is, let's say we do something bad, we need to come back and learn that lesson so that we continue to do good on that. It's a very open-ended question, actually, to know, but there is both sides of this. We need both sides, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, but is then hate become a learned lesson?
Well, yes, if we turn it into the correct hate, we turn it into being positive and not. I mean, we're all, as I say, human. So we have our feelings. We might take an instant dislike to somebody, but let's turn that into, yes, we have a dislike because it could be something left over from a previous lifetime, but do we have to hate that person? No, we need to bring that into balance. We don't have to love everybody, but we need to maybe accept people. So that would be in that balance part of that love-hate. That's what I'm hearing.
Is insecurity a byproduct of hate, or is hate a byproduct of insecurity?
There's an answer to both of those. Hate, if you hate someone, that person may have something in them that shows you may present an insecurity to you, if that makes sense. So having hated that person, you need to now accept that, and you need to accept that in yourself. Excuse me.
So that people that are insecure, they don't necessarily have to hate.
This is really weird. Sorry, I had to bring this up. I never sneeze that much.
You're sneezing on the truth.
But this, okay, yes, this is crazy. Okay, I'm fine now.
So people who have insecurities don't necessarily mean that they are hateful.
No,
But people
no.
that are hateful, 9 out of 10 times, seem to be very insecure of truth.
The key is interpreting that. Sometimes if we hate something within somebody, thank you, Dawn, it might be something within ourselves that we have to learn a lesson to that. And then we may come over with this insecurity about ourselves. But if we begin to understand that a little bit, we may see the reasons why. And actually, sometimes they call it mirror imaging. We're imaging a part of ourselves that we're seeing in somebody else. We don't necessarily like it. So we're transforming that into that other person as hate. It may not be that. As simple as balancing ourselves out with that situation.
Sally, do you think knowledge is key, or knowledge is power?
Absolutely. I used to hear that. I used to sell. I was in sales for many years. And they used to say that knowledge is power. Yes, it is power because it gives us the feeling of, we know somehow if we have some knowledge that what we're talking about, it is power. It's a very powerful tool, yes.
Will knowledge still be powerful in the future if everything is controlled? If it becomes controlled knowledge or controlled of what we learn?
Actually, in answer to that question, what you brought up is very important because not everything that knowledge is power. We have to learn to diversify and we have to learn to understand that. So we take a situation, sometimes that power overtakes the knowledge. So it may not always be correct. We have to go in with ourselves and kind of decipher ourselves whether this is true or false. Because we are actually, as a nation here, as humans, we are absolutely controlled, okay? We're controlled from schools, from society. I don't need to go into the subject, but you understand what I'm saying. So we have to say to ourselves, is this control or is this true? So we have to kind of weigh that up in our own mind. So in answer to the way that I first actually explained that, wasn't exactly what I'm hearing now.
So if there's a lot of people out there that they don't have self-thought or they can't think for themselves, it feels like. And I feel like that is because of the rise of technology and the controlment of that. But how do I look at someone and try to get them out of that mindset and have free will for themselves?
But exactly what you're saying to me right now is explain that to them. They don't necessarily have to believe that, but you know what? You're opening something that you're putting them on the right track. It's still up to them. And I often talk about free will. Sometimes people are just not ready to hear that. But if you continue to talk about it, sometimes you have to give up. I know I've had to do that and say, okay, think what you think. Maybe you're right, but I don't believe it. But that's okay. I know a lot that I've understood today, that I've been given messages, that what I'm saying, it is a powerful message, but I don't expect everyone to believe it. So sometimes you just have to give up and let them continue their journey.
Okay, because we're talking about our last week we talked about identity in school, and especially with the rise of technology and all these information that we learn about is being controlled by one particular group or government, and we lose the thought for where was I going? We lose the thought for ourselves. Oh, I forgot where I was going after this.
That's okay, because I can
completely
follow
forgot.
I am actually following what you're saying, Josh. We are controlled. I don't expect everyone to believe this too. But when you begin to see that maybe we're giving information that certain groups of people might want us to know, if you sometimes rebel against that and have your own thoughts of what you're going with your own intuition, maybe we are right. We need to say to ourselves, just to know that sometimes, I'm not here to talk about controllers actually, but I am aware of it. So whatever you believe, so just go with your own feelings, with your own gut. So if you're told something, even in schools, and I'm not telling kids don't listen to your teachers, because they're also teaching what they've been told to teach, but you may not necessarily agree with it. So go again, don't always follow what everybody says. Okay, and I'm not criticizing any group of people, teachers, students. Listen to your teachers, but you don't always have to agree with it. It's okay not to always agree with it. That's what I'm trying to say. But I don't want people to misinterpret that as saying, oh my gosh, who does she think she is? But it's just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Keep an open mind.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Sally.
Well, the bottom line is math is an exact science. So 1 and 1 will always equal 2. But philosophies and different things that professors and teachers, I know when I went to NYU, the first thing they told us is, what I'm going to teach you away from the exact sciences, you should take and you should question your ability to understand it. Because what they taught me, I had to interpret for my understanding and to be able to use what they taught me for my betterment. So you have to still understand that when people teach you things, you have to give it your fingerprints to make sure you understand that it's for you.
Perfect way to explain that, Freddie. That was, I mean, that's exactly kind of what I understand, and everything you said is, I totally agree with you there. Yes, and some people, we're on different paths on our journey here. So sometimes we do need to follow other people because we don't always understand what's going on, and teachers are here to teach, but they don't always understand exactly. So we have to interpret it, go within our own selves, open. The best key to this is to ask questions, to say, okay, I disagree with you. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with someone. Just say, this is my way of thinking. That's okay. This is very important to express that. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Excellent, because the object of the game, what you want to do, a lot of the issues that we have is to have focus and to have urgency. And you have to have those two elements in order to have a conversation that is meaningful. You can have a lot of meaningless conversations, a lot of beliefs that really don't go anywhere, a lot of agreeing with other people just for the sake of agreeing. I think it takes know-how. You have to have a little confidence. And you have to be willing to make a mark of what you believe for it to change. Otherwise, what are you doing, right? So I was going to ask you, again, going back to spirit versus humans, at the end of the day, do we follow humans to see their characteristics, or are these souls searching souls to find out what's
Well,
going on?
as far as I know, let's say the spirits, we have guides, okay? But there are also other spirits that can intervene with our guides. So it's really up to us what we feel.
What kind of spirits would that be, Sally?
They're mischievous spirits. I used to hear this from my guide who was here, Aldo. They play games. They also pretend that they may be someone of a loved one that has passed, and they may pretend to be that person. It's really up to us. It's not easy to distinguish this. In other words, if we feel, and I always say go with your gut, that this is really not what you're feeling, maybe someone's playing with you, they're messing with you. So we need to go into that a little bit more. But our true guides, let's say, that are here to guide us, will try to distract the mischievous spirits. So ultimately, they will prevail. They will give us the right messages. Does that help a little bit?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely, because you want to be able to guide your ship through the rough waters. You know, life isn't always easy, and sometimes it gets dark before the light comes out. But you got to follow your beliefs. You got to understand, you know, this too shall pass. And some things, you look for a light of understanding, so to speak.
And that's really important because after all, and I'm going to say this again, we are on a learning experience here, a journey. So everything that is not all positive, it's not, because what will we learn from everything that is positive? But when we're going through the bad times in our life, as long as you can maybe open up that there's a little bit more, that we're being guided, it'll help you. If nothing else, even if you don't believe it, just believe that you're going through this for a reason, because at the other end of the tunnel, there is a light. But, you know,
How do emotions like falling in love, breaking up, that kind of deal affect spirit?
Spirit will not be affected. As a human, we will be affected here, okay? But this is also a lesson that we're meant to learn. Maybe we're meant to learn what love is really all about, because after all, and I've heard this said many times, all we have is love. Let's spread the love. But not everything, you know, it's not easy. I have a girlfriend, not to mention who it is, she'll go up to people and say, love, here's a message here. We don't, as a society, always accept that. We think, oh my God, she's crazy or he's crazy. But ultimately, all we have is love, and that's what we're meant to be understanding. But it's a long journey, so we have to bear both sides of that. But as long as we open up that there is more, that it will be okay, we're learning a lesson. So when we're going through hard times, say, I'm going to come out of this okay. What I'm doing, I'm learning a lesson, but I am going to be okay.
Interesting. So spirit versus human. Then the bottom line here is, are we sometimes more human than spiritual, or are we sometimes more spiritual than human?
We're both sides of that coin, Freddie. We're human because we're here having a human experience. Let's say we're also spiritual. So while we're here in this dimension, to go into the dimensions a little bit, this is a slightly lower vibrational energy here because we're here to learn. We've chosen this path. So as we're here, we're walking here as a human being. But that doesn't mean to say that without our spirit, as I've learned, and I've had many trials and errors in this lifetime, but the more I'm learning today that I'm learning, I know that my spirit is taking over my human body, as I am right now on this show. I'm not aware, and I can tell you this, I'm still there, of everything that I'm about to say. I don't know, but I am being led by my spirit to answer some of these questions. Does Sally, as a human, or Zena, know all these answers? No, I do not, as far as I know, but somewhere I do. So I go into that somewhere when I'm on this show.
So spirit is a frequency.
Spirit, yes, that's a very good way to put it. It's a higher frequency because spirit can see everything that's happening. But if we as humans could see all that, what are we going to learn here? We're here to learn lessons. So if spirit overtakes everything that we are as humans, we're not going to learn because we'll walk through this life saying, oh, that happened, but it's not going to happen because if you don't need to learn a lesson, you're not going to learn the lesson.
Yeah, but then humans are the chamber that spirit dwells in, because if spirit, which makes a whole lot of sense, is frequency, then when you break up or you're depressed or worse, it's the human side that suffers, right?
Yes, as human. I mean, I don't know because I'm not on the other side right now. But as far as I know from spirits, they don't go through that. They look at what we've experienced here. So their way of learning when we're in spirit is to watch what we did in this dimension. It's only as I see until I don't know beyond the dimensions. I'm not privy to that. But as we go and as we transition into another dimension, when we pass, we look at what we've done here. So when we come back, and this is really important, they're telling me this is very important, things that we touched here that hurt us, we need to go through again, but to look at it differently if we're growing. So in spirit, we see what we're doing. In here, we don't until we begin to wake up. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. But the funny thing here is that in my world, spirit drives human. Human doesn't drive spirit.
Spirit drives human, but as humans, we don't know that. That's what's coming to
But
me.
that's the challenge. That's the part that you
challenge.
call learning.
Absolutely. But without that, what would we learn? We need that. We need to know that. But once we touch that there is something else, that there is spirituality here, that we are different in spirit, and we begin to understand that, we will be able to accept things that are happening here a little differently. We can turn the negative into positive. Not all the time, but it's important to know that we can. And this, I can't emphasize this more, and this is what they're telling. You can turn that negativity into positivity. It's really important, this message, and I thank you for all these questions because they're really good.
Hi, Sally. I got
Hi.
2 questions, I guess. I know you said everything has to do with wavelengths, and I believe that too. Everything's vibrational energy. Do you think musicians are more in tune than with their spiritual side of things, just because they're dealing with wavelengths 24/7, even with the music that they create?
Yes, they are up to a point. I'm an artist, and I know that when I go into my art, when I do things, I'm not aware of necessarily what I'm doing. But what happens is I'm in some sort of a trance. So that's giving me my spirit side of this. I can still talk as I am here. I'm actually in a trance, and I'm able to say that. But I'm aware that there is more. So I'm being guided. So a musician or anybody that does anything that's artistic, even someone that's an actor or an actress, they take the character over. If you think about this, it's not so different. They're taking over that character. They're learning. So we're being guided. No matter what we do, we are being guided. But you can get more into meditation when you're maybe creating a sound, which is music, or an art, and I'm drawing like crazy things, but it's connecting me to meditation.
Okay. And then, do you have any techniques or any rituals of how to clean a house out?
As far as that goes, of actually contacting, is that what you're asking?
Not contacting anyone, but just cleaning it of...
No, but once you get into a meditative state, and I don't do a lot of what people do normally when they meditate, but if I'm drawing, I am there. I think it's cleaning your consciousness, so to speak. So if you can get into, no matter how you do it, into a meditative state, you are on the right track. As far as maybe thoughts might come into your mind. When we're sleeping, we're unaware of what's happening. Go with it, because we're still being guided, and they're able to contact us a little easier than our mind coming into this without that meditation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, and please tune in next week. Thank you very much. And a Happy New Year to you. Thank you, Dawn. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.